We have a lot of family and friends, as well as coworkers here tonight supporting us. So my name is Heather Morris Washington. I'm a parent of Ariana Washington, who's a current, soon-to-be former student of Albiani. Thank you. Ariana Washington's a 12-year-old, hardworking, fun-loving, God-fearing, talented Black girl. She's an entrepreneur, starting her own business in the 5th grade, principalist, honor roll student, recipient of the Presidential Award, and already has identified her major in college and visited her #1 college choice, Howard University. She's the epitome of Black girl magic. On August, sorry, it's emotional. On August, on an unknown date, my daughter was pulled into the VP's office, Ms. Couchot's, because an alleged 8th grader advised my daughter was looking at her while in the locker room. My daughter asked why. My daughter was asked why she was in the locker room, and my daughter advised she was coming in from PE, changing, and waiting for her friend. The VP, however, moved Ariana to a different locker, away from her friend, and placed her locker near the PE teacher's locker room office. The reason why the date is unknown, there's no documentation that this meeting ever occurred with my daughter. No call or written communication was received by either parent, and there's no record in Synergy or Parent View. On Monday, September 20th, I received a phone call from my daughter, distraught and crying, that the VP had her schedule changed and banned her from the locker room because the same alleged 8th grader said my daughter was looking around the locker room. Again, no phone call or email from the school. Ariana's father and I immediately went to the school demanding to meet with the VP. We sat with the VP, Ms. Couchot, as well as Principal Bahar. They both apologized verbally for not advising us back in August, but that it was nothing major and a minor incident. They further apologized for taking disciplinary action before speaking with us. They advised my daughter failed to follow a verbal directive given to her in August by the VP to get in and out of the locker room. At that time, we were put under the impression she violated policy by looking around the locker room. We advised, however, that punishment was still not acceptable. They advised they would not overturn their decision and ended the meeting, advising that they had to get to other things. When my husband and I tried to prolong the meeting due to no resolution, they scheduled a meeting for Wednesday, September 22nd. That night, my husband and I read through all the district information and her PE syllabus. We found that our daughter followed her class syllabus, being in and out of the locker room within 5 minutes, as she has no tardies on her record. Further, she never violated any other written policy and should have never been pulled into the office back in August. Additionally, at the time of the second alleged accusation, my daughter was actually in the locker room, still in PE clothes with her PE teacher because my daughter's asthma was severely flaring, requiring her inhaler. At 7:55 Tuesday morning, September 21st, I sent an email to Ms. Couchot and Ms. Bahar advising there should be no disciplinary action against my daughter based on the rules dictated in her PE syllabus and her not violating any other written policy. Further, they needed to reverse their decision immediately regarding her being banned from the locker room and changing her schedule. No response was received. At 11:21, I received a phone call from my daughter that same day, hysterically crying because she was denied access to the locker room. She then went to the bathroom to change and was unable to enter because the bathroom was full. She then went back to the locker room and was denied access. My daughter, with no other options, had to change outside on the blacktop in front of the locker room in public view. My daughter was humiliated and degraded. Contacting us from her phone when the PE teacher subsequently told her she was too close to the locker room. Her phone was taken away and my daughter was escorted to the office. Her friends started calling me, letting me know what was happening. Again, no phone call or written communication from the school and no record in Synergy or Parent View of her having to go to the office or the incident. My husband and I were immediately at the school and went due to the ongoing decimation of our daughter having to change clothes outside, essentially being treated like an animal, no regard for her mental health and having to do this, and further harassment with her phone being confiscated and subsequently escorted to the office. The office assistant called Ms. Bahar when we arrived over the radio, notifying her that we were in the office. After about 15 minutes, Ms. Bahar then walked into the office meeting us with an armed Elk Grove police officer. Ms. Bahar was clearly trying to use police presence as an intimidation tactic toward a Black family. However, the officer was a fraternity brother of my husband and excused himself from the meeting. We sat with Ms. Bahar and her assistant Karen, discussing why our daughter was forced to change outside on the blacktop and the discipline imposed. Ms. Bahar just kept stating she violated the alleged verbal directive given by the VP in August and that she could have changed in the bathroom. Again, no concern for my daughter's mental health or even her physical safety of having to change outside, no empathy shown, and no care or concern for a Black child. When pressed to advise us what written policy my daughter violated, she kept referencing an alleged verbal directive. When we advised her that there is no written policy, my daughter followed all the rules in her PE syllabus and violated no other Elk Grove Unified School District policy. At that time, Ms. Bahar became visibly frustrated, then proceeded to fabricate a statement and blatantly lie, essentially accusing our daughter of making a sexual statement about the alleged 8th grader back in August. The principal that represents your district now sexualized my daughter and questioned her sexual orientation. Ms. Bahar's falsified statement was so egregious and distasteful in nature that such an allegation would have been addressed with us back in August, documented in writing with a full investigation and due process. But mind you, just the day prior, we were told by her and the VP the incident in August was no big deal, a minor issue, that she was just looking around the locker room and needed to be out more timely. So now you have a principal that's falsified events and intentionally destroyed a reputation of a Black child. Ms. Bahar then ended the meeting advising she was not changing her stance in banning our daughter from the locker room and advised us to take it up with the superintendent as she had to get to yard duty and walked out. My husband and I, when we got home, immediately called and notified Dr. Bessler's office of the incident, leaving a summary with her secretary. Wednesday, September 22nd, my daughter notified me she received a note to go to her counselor's office. I immediately called the school and spoke with her counselor, Ms. Miller, and advised I did not want the administration to have any contact with my daughter. Ms. Miller advised that my daughter's schedule was going to be changed back and that she would have full access to the locker room. Thursday, September 23rd, Ms. Couchot and her counselor came into my daughter's English class, walked around to make their presence known, walked by my daughter, and exited without saying anything. This had not been done since the beginning of the school year and can only be seen as an intimidation and retaliatory tactic against my daughter. Monday, September 27th, Ms. Bahar entered and sat in the back of my daughter's first class of the day. Again, this had not been done since the beginning of the school year and only can be seen as another intimidation and retaliatory tactic against my daughter. On Tuesday, September 28th, Lorene, now to my right, sent an email to Ms. Bahar, Ms. Couchot, Richard Gutierrez, and at that point, somehow they have no longer been in the classroom with my daughter, but we still have not received a response to our email. So why does my daughter have to leave a school that is near her home, where she's actually excelling and loving her classes, and leave her friends in order to feel safe from school leadership? My daughter has suffered unimaginable psychological and emotional trauma, as well as our family, as a direct result of Ms. Couchot and Ms. Bahar. So how do you have Ms. Bahar and Ms. Couchot leading a school and representing your district? They themselves failed to follow Elk Grove Unified School District policy and procedure. They denied my daughter, a Black child, due process. They willfully demeaned my daughter, a 12-year-old Black girl, by giving her no choice but to change outside for PE. They provided no social justice for my daughter. They blatantly fabricated accusations against my daughter and assassinated a Black child's character. They continued with ongoing discriminatory behavior against my daughter. They showed retaliatory behavior against my daughter, and they knowingly and purposely continued their harassment. Unfortunately, for Black children, this is not the first time this principal has targeted, unfairly disciplined, as well as unreasonably suspended a Black child at Albiani that had to be overturned by the superintendent. So you can have your days, you can have your weeks, you can wear your ribbons, but as Desmond Tutu said, if you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. So if you, as the Elk Grove Unified School District School Board, allow them to maintain their positions at the school and in your district, you are co-signing and consenting to their appalling, abhorrent, horrific, discriminatory, and racist behavior and actions against my daughter. I'll defer my remaining time to my husband.